Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Cambridge Pitt Minion. Now, this is one of the more popular Bibles that Cambridge makes, and I would imagine it's because of the size and the portability of this specific edition. It's very thin and trim and very lightweight, so it's kind of become a very popular portable model that they offer. Now, I have three examples here. I have an NLT, which is a New Living Translation. I have an NASB, which is a New American Standard Bible, and I have a NKJV, a New King James Version Bible. We'll take a look at them only because they kind of run the spectrum as far as features, and I'm not too sure if Cambridge has just kind of changed some things here and there between years in the production cycles, or if these are just various inconsistencies, I guess, throughout the different models of the Bibles. But we'll go ahead and take a look. I feel like this gives a pretty good cross section between all of the Bibles, all of the Pitt Minions that Cambridge offers. So we'll go ahead and take a look first at the box here for the NASB. And you'll see right off the gate that this is kind of a matte finish box. It's not very shiny or reflective. And that goes kind of in contrast to the NLT box, which is very shiny and very reflective. You can see my camera there and the fan overhead spinning away. So there is quite a difference there. They're both clamshell boxes. They both kind of have this little angle cut out to help you open the box easier. But that would certainly be one thing to note, is the very shiny nature of this box and kind of the more matte finish of this box. Now, I think that Cambridge has moved to this matte finish box, so I would imagine this is a newer production NASB, and this is an older NLT. And I also think that the NLT has been discontinued, at least in Goatskin. I think that they still make the imitation leather NLT in the Pitt Minion size, but that seems to be all that's available, at least on Cambridge's website at the moment. Every once in a while, you'll see these pop up in Goatskin for sale here and there, but at least to get it directly from Cambridge or Amazon or anything like that, you're not going to be able to. But still, we can take a look at it, right? Why not? That's what we do here, is we look at old Bibles that are out of print. Not that these are really old, but at least out of print, right? So we'll go ahead and I'll show you the box for the NASB. You can take a look here at all the details and all that. There's the ISBN number. We'll take a look all around here. And it does include, I'll pull it out here in a second. If you guys want to pause, you can read this information. But it does include like a little card here, a warranty card inside. We'll take a look at that real quick. So this is a little card that's included. It just kind of tells you a little bit about Cambridge Bibles and their warranty. One of these days I'll have to make a video on their warranties. I did have to warranty one Bible through them. I'll make a video about it. It was an interesting experience for sure. And here's the NLT box. You guys can take a look. I'll try and get it to where you can't see the fan. And there's the ISBN for that one. Again, this one is out of print, at least as far as I know at the moment. I don't know if they're going to bring it back at any point in a finer binding. And I'm not too sure why they would have taken it out of print. As far as I know, the NLT is a pretty popular translation, but maybe it wasn't doing so well for Cambridge, so they pulled it, All right, and I think that this one has the same card. Yeah, just the same card there. So we move these off to the side and take a look at the Bibles. I have my little Sharpie for size there. All right, so here you go. Here are the three Cambridge Pitt Minions that I have. All three of them are in Goatskin. I have two in the brown Goatskin and one in the black Goatskin. The New King James Version is in the Goatskin. So I guess we will take a look at the New King James Version. I'll give you all the measurements and all that off of it, and then we'll bring the brown ones back kind of towards the end just to do some comparisons. And there are some slight differences between them, which is kind of weird to me. You'd think that they would all be the same, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit. So you have the brown one here. Oh, sorry, you have the black one here. And you can see this very nice grain on this Bible. The other ones have more of a fine grain, and I'll show that to you in a little bit. But I much prefer this grain on this Pitt Minion. It's a little more natural of a look. There's kind of like kind of a wider band here and a finer area here, and just having this kind of visual distinction in the leather, it's appealing to me. So I prefer this over the very fine grain. We'll take a look. There's a little very small perimeter line along the edge. Look at the spine. The perimeter line continues, and then you have Holy Bible, New King James Version, and Cambridge. Now there are some rib indications here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, but they are very, 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 very light, mild, not very deep. They're just kind of for feels. So yeah, On the back of the cover, you have the perimeter line again, and that beautiful leather grain. I'll take a look at the top here. So you can see on this particular edition of the New King James Version, there is one red ribbon. The head and tail bands are yellow and red, and then you have this nice red under gold art gilt. The block is kind of curved, so you can see it's kind of a concave curve there in the block, which I prefer. Helps the block, helps the text block sit flat when you open it up. But I like that very much. Nice gold gilt job there. And we'll take a look at the red ribbon. Now this one, like I said, it's a single red ribbon, and this is not a fancy ribbon whatsoever. I don't know why the Pitt Minions get such poor ribbons. Yeah, it's kind of satin-ish on one side, and then it's rough on the other side. But really, the satin-ish side is still pretty rough. So it's just a bare bones kind of basic ribbon they provide on these Pitt Minions. So we'll go ahead and open up. And there's that card again, lingering. Now this is a used edition that I bought, so it didn't have a box or anything like that. So the card is just kind of stuck in the inside there. But we'll take a look at the corner work here. Very small. It's a very small Bible. And it is stamped with goatskin leather. And it is a black kind of synthetic material paste down here. That would be kind of the only hit to the Pitt Minion, is they don't do an edge-lined edition. They're all paste down. And that might be to help with the flexibility of the binding, because whenever you do an edge-lined edition, typically they tend to not open so easily, at least until they get worn in, and certainly paste down is going to open a lot easier for you, like right out the gate. This is a smaller edition, so that might have just been to add to the ease of that. There is some reinforcement tape you can see there in the center, which is nice. Take a look at the back. There's nothing really different in the back, but I'll show you the corners there. There you go. There you are. Let's get into the text. You have your flyleaf here, and then you have kind of a thick cardstock page there. You have your presentation page. And I very much like how Cambridge does this, at least on some of their Bibles or some of their newer Bibles, when it's just blank. I prefer this because you can fill in whatever you want. Sometimes, you're not giving this as a gift. Sometimes it's just your Bible. So you can kind of, custom fill it out however you want. And it's just that one sheet. And then you have the first title page there. And you have the second title page, New King James Version. Then you have the copyright page. And I'll go ahead and zoom in here so you guys can take a look and pause it if you need to read it. There you go. And then we have the table of contents. And the books of the Bible in alphabetical order. The preface to the New King James Version. And the Old Testament title page. So here we have the first book of Moses, called Genesis. It gets right into it. So I'll go ahead and give you a close look there. Now this is a nice double column paragraph layout. And it does have center column references. And if you can see right out the gate here that there's kind of an overflow of the references. So if the references go beyond the center column here, there's a kind of a cluster of them down in the bottom right corner. I'll turn the page so we can get a little better feel for it, the layout. And you'll see that the references are always going to be on the bottom right corner of the page, not on the outer corners, just the bottom right. But we have the book name and the chapters that are associated with that page. And here we have chapter 2 and chapter 3. They don't do any drop caps. It's just the chapter numbers are in large there. The verse numbers are pretty small. They're certainly not bold or anything like that, so you kind of have to search for them to find them. But you're going to be straining to read this anyway because the font is so small. Certainly, the Pitt Minions were made with people with good eyesight in mind. But there are little running headers here in the text that you can see, and just kind of that, and the page numbers here in the inner gutter at the top. So we'll flip through this a little bit so you guys can see the layout, get familiar with it. And I like the Pitt Minion. It's I'm in my upper 30s. I'm getting close to the big 4-0. So the Pitt Minion wouldn't be my first choice to sit down and read with at home. But the NLT, I've kind of carried it with me here and there. If I just need like a Bible on the go. For me, I'm a bigger guy, so I have bigger pockets on my clothes. So the NLT fits perfectly into a pocket for me. If you happen to have maybe like a purse, you could put it in there, or if you're, like I said, if you have bigger pants pockets, probably throw it in the back pocket. I guess it's just going to depend. But if not, if you had to hand carry it, it's not much bigger than, maybe it's a little bit bigger than a cell phone, but it's certainly small enough to carry easily. So let's go back to the poetic sections here. Where am I going? There we are. So take a look at the Psalms. And let's get to a section that has a few. There we go. There you go. You can see kind of the layout in Psalms there. I'll go ahead and get you nice and tight so you can see the paper. This is a very nice paper that Cambridge has done. It's very smooth, but it is very thin, so you are going to get a little bit of show through there. But it's pretty minimal considering the size. I have some other Bibles that are kind of similar to this, and the show through is considerably greater. So considering what they're working with, the show through is pretty minimal. So let's turn on over to the New Testament. Oh, look, right to my favorite section. You can see. That was a good flip. There you go. There's 5 and 6 for you, so you guys can see the red letter. Cambridge red letters nowadays are pretty well done, so I'm not going to give them any grief for the red letter. Back in the day, I have a couple Cambridges where they're a little on the pink side from a few decades ago, but certainly they've kind of, got it under wraps. So it's very nicely done now. All right, and then I'll show you just the New Testament title page. You have the end of Malachi there, the New Testament title page, and then the first page of Matthew. So let's flip to the end here. All right, quick, and we'll see. There are some little things in the back. Thankfully, it doesn't just kind of drop off. I would be curious to see how thin they could get this edition if they remove the center column references and the helps at the end. I bet it'd be a pretty trim edition here. All right, but we do have the concordance for the New King James Bible. I'll show you some of those entries. There you go. It's a pretty sizable concordance. And after the concordance, we have the Bible maps. There's a list of maps. And these are just going to be the standard Cambridge maps. You have your map index, or gazetteer, as I enjoy calling it. And this paper is a little bit thicker than the Bible paper. Actually, a good bit thicker than the Bible paper, to be honest with you. There's your maps. Now, I really like the Pitt Minion because, like I said, it is pretty portable, and it's nice to always have a physical copy of the Bible on you because you never know if you're going to have an internet connection or what on your phone, or even if your phone might go dead. There's something to be said for just always having a hard copy of the Bible on you. That nice map. Hold on. Get you guys a close up there. Very nice maps. Cambridge maps are just tops. I mean, I guess it's to be expected, given the size of Cambridge and how long they've been around. After the maps, you have two. So you have two thicker sheets, like the maps are printed on, 2 blank thicker sheets there, and then you have 2 cardstock sheets, kind of one, and then 2 cardstock sheets there, and then the back of the flyleaf, and then it wraps up. So that is the Cambridge Pitt Minion for the New King James edition translation. We'll go ahead and take a look at the other 2 right quick. Let me bring them over here. All right, so these are brown. Maybe you can get a good feel there for the color difference between them, right? The black and the brown. Now we'll take a look at the grain. So on the New American Standard, the grain is pretty fine. Actually, on both of them, it's pretty fine. Seems to be probably a similar cut, etc. But it is different than the black New King James here. You can see that this is way more uniform, the pattern of the leather, right? And then the leather on this is way more unique. So just an interesting thing to note. Now I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's kind of all the black leathers. Like if you get a black leather edition, then it's going to be more unique like this versus the brown. But just something to note. Sorry, I wish I had a little more knowledge of that on that end of it. One other thing to know, they're pretty similar all around otherwise. The ribbons, for some reason, were done differently on all 3 models, which is weird to me. So the New King James version only had a single red ribbon, right? And then you have this is the NLT, right? And the NLT has 2 brown ribbons, and also the head and tail bands on the brown are yellow and brown, right? Instead of red and yellow, so you get some brown and yellow head and tail bands. But this one does have 2 ribbons, which is different, right? Because 1 versus 2, right? And then on top of that, the 2 ribbons are stacked on top of each other. I kind of have them, going to each their own direction, but they are stacked on top of each other, which I thought was a kind of unique presentation. And then also to note is that these ribbons are thinner, I guess narrower, than the red ribbons. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you this, but it's got to be maybe by 1 millimeter or 2. Each ribbon is thinner. So I'm really not sure. It has kind of the same feel as this red one, kind of rough on one side and not quite satin on the other side. But they're 1 millimeter or 2 thinner than this one. So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure why they chose to do that. It's kind of strange to me. And then if you go over to the New American Standard version, it's got 2 ribbons also, but these ribbons are thicker, like this one. Sorry, I'm going to frame. These 2 ribbons are thicker, like the New King James version. I guess wider is what I should say. Wider like the New King James version, but they're thinner. Like they're not as, I guess, heavy duty. They're not as thick as this one. And these are also single-sided satin. So this is like an actual satin finish on this ribbon, but the other side is a rougher finish. And then on top of that, you have, again, 2 ribbons, but this time they're not stacked. So they're all over the place with the ribbons there with the Cambridge Pitt Minion. So this is like a more normal layout and presentation that I would prefer than having them stacked, certainly. And I definitely prefer 2 ribbons over 1 ribbon. So I'm not sure what the deal is here, why they're all over the place. But they are all over the place. And that is the Pitt Minion. So let me go ahead and give you some measurements. I'll put these to the side. All right, quick, we'll get some measurements. So it comes in at 7 3/8 of an inch tall by about 5 1/8 inch wide. Nice and thin here. Coming in at under an inch. It's a little bit more than like 7/8 of an inch thick. So pretty narrow version. Pretty skinny version. Not narrow, pretty skinny version. Yeah. So let's take a look at the fonts. Font size. Now in the opening here, it did say on the copyright page, it did say the size of the font they use, which I appreciate, but again, not everybody is familiar with the lexicon fonts, also compared to a Times New Roman. But they have it listed here as a 6.5 point on 7-point lexicon. So the argument is, is a 6.75 or is it a 7-point font? So the way that I interpret it to be is that it's a 6.75 font. That's the font size. And then I would imagine that the leading is a 7-point. And you'll see that the leading is pretty tight on the lines here. And again, the leading is the spacing between the lines. So you can see kind of like how I don't know if you can see it there, but like how the F in 50s is pretty close to the P and up. So to me, it looks like that's probably a 7-point leading. So it's just slightly bigger than the size of the text. My 2 cents. So let's take a look at the letters right quick, or the size of the font. And we'll find an M, an M, an M, an M. Oh my goodness, an M. Okay, me, right there, down there. Took me a minute. So we'll start with 7. See, so in comparison to a Times New Roman, it's bigger than what it claims. I'm seeing about a 7.5 point for the lowercase in comparison to Times New Roman. And let's take a look at the uppercase here. We'll use this E. And we'll go to 7.5. And then the uppercase, not so much, right? So funny, the uppercase is kind of in between a 6.5 and a 7. So the uppercase is like a 6.75 in comparison to Times New Roman, but the lowercase letters are considerably larger than that. Now I did want to take a look because I did notice something. Like in the New Living Translation, it says, at the beginning it says that it's the same size font. I'll take a look at that real quick. So it says the same. It says 6.75 point on 7-point lexicon number 1. But I noticed that the font size was a little bit different, a little bit smaller if I remember correctly. So we'll take a look and measure here. We'll use the H and has for the capitals. And this to me looks right at a 6.5, not really like a 6.75. And then we'll look at the lowercase m here for my. Yeah, and so see, this one's coming in at about a 7. So there is a slight difference there. Is it enough to like complain about? No, I would say definitely not. But it's just interesting to note that there is a very slight size difference between the 2 texts, even though they both claim to be kind of the same size text. So let me grab this guy. We'll bring him into the frame too. So the NLT Pitt Minion. I love them. They're very portable. Super awesome choice if you guys are looking for a portable kind of premium Bible. Or if you're not, they certainly offer these in a few options. They have imitation leathers and the goatskin. And I think they maybe have another. I think it just depends on the translation that you get, what they offer. So I don't want to quote anything crazy, but I'll put links down below to Cambridge's website so you guys can look and see what they have available in print. So otherwise, Bible buddies, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, Bible buddies, bye.